Posted by you/alarming squirrel 129. My husband is watching 2, out of 4, of his parents' golden retrievers during Christmas. So, 2 of them are here at our apartment. They are old and sweet, and one of them can barely walk. I've always loved his parents' dogs, and I show them affection when they are here. The other night, though, he let me know that it is a priority that the dogs, well, mainly one dog since the other can't get on the bed, sleep on the bed, and I'll either need to sleep on the guest bed or move my legs for the dog. I asked why they couldn't sleep on the guest bed, the floor, or literally anywhere else. He said it's because they are used to always sleeping with him. He was single and living with his parents until he met me at age 34, so the dogs slept on his bed and were his comfort. We got married last February, and he left the dogs at his parents' house. It's a queen bed, and the golden retriever is huge, so he takes up most of it. He also won't move when gently pushed and likes to place himself in the middle of the entire left side of the bed. My husband told me not to make him move or shove him, but to work around him. When I gently laid my leg on top of the dog, he said it was too heavy for him. I'm thin, and my leg is very light. Mind you, my husband then got to sleep stretched out on his side of the bed. The first morning, I woke up on my side, wanting to die. The dog's massive weight had contorted the bed just enough to bend my back backward and make me think I was literally having a double kidney infection. I must have slept in a semi-backbend position all night. Last night, I asked him to switch places with me, and he did so to prove a point. 5 minutes after laying on the gravity-inducing sinking hole on the dog's side of the bed, my husband wailed in pain like something sharp had stabbed him in the back. He changed positions, but I insisted he sleep on the dog's side with the dog because I was so sore. Before we went to sleep, I was listening to him whisper sweet nothings to the dogs. I'm not the weird jealous type over dogs. I grew up with 2 Goldens and a Shih Tzu, and I truly adore dogs. But he wouldn't even touch me when they were around. They 100% fill his emotional cup. Sometimes we'll be out at a restaurant or something, and he'll stare off with teary eyes. When I ask what's wrong, he says he misses his dogs. Multiple times, I'll ask him what he's in deep thought about, and he'll say his dogs. I asked him if he wanted to snuggle, and he said no. He kept making comments about how he's sad his dogs don't have more room. I've noticed this increasing awareness that he might 100% value his dogs more than me. I explained this away to myself as being logical, as we've only been married since February. For context, I grew up always putting others first and valuing myself as less important than those around me. Church taught me that God wants us to put others before ourselves, and I spiraled. This seems silly, but an example of this is that I would show up to church with my family, and if there was one donut left, my blood sugar was routinely low because I helped my 3 little brothers get ready, so I didn't have time to eat. I would let whatever older person have the last donut and go completely sweaty and blacking out. This was the extreme fear I developed of ever putting myself first. Back to the scene in bed. I finally said, kind of joking, that I feel sometimes like he loves his dogs more than me. He got quiet. Like I said, I was kind of joking at first, but his silence was deafening. I said, "Oh my God, do you?" Silence. "Are you serious?" He finally sighed and said, "Well, they are my babies. They're my everything." I was completely silent. Stunned. I'm also aware that love for dogs and human love are not the easiest things to compare in a question like this, but it seems he wasn't aware of that because he knew how to answer. I asked if he was serious, and he said yes. I pushed it further because, of course, I did. I had to know the extent of this unsettling answer. I asked if a gun was to either my head or the dogs' heads, would he choose me or the dogs? He got quiet again and told me that's not a fair question because it would never happen. WTF. So I insisted on my hypothetical question because now I was just shell-shocked. He finally admitted that he would choose to let me die over the dogs. Oh, and my daughter. His stepdaughter. He said he'd choose to let both me and my daughter die. Over his parents' dogs. I was visibly upset and shocked at how seriously he answered. I said, "Do you even love me?" He got quiet. I asked again. Silence. He could see I was horrified and tearing up. He finally got annoyed and said, "Of course I do," and that he only hesitated because it was a stupid question. He then said he was kidding about the dog stuff and only answered that way to show me those were stupid questions. Only, guys, he wasn't kidding. I truly believe no part of that was a joke. I know joking. He was not kidding at all. Update 3 hours later. I've been reading all of your comments and obviously gaslighting myself into wondering if he was joking. He doubled down yesterday morning and said he only answered that way because I was being ridiculous. I don't know, I still felt uneasy about everything. Last night, I was sick and exhausted. My throat was swollen, my back hurt, and I had gotten 2 hours of sleep the night before. When I went to bed, both dogs were on the bed this time. I asked if we could lift the dog that can't walk well to the floor since that's where he likes to sleep, as he can't get on or off the bed alone. My husband got up to gently move him to the floor, but the Golden didn't much prefer it, so my husband instantly gave up. Mind you, the dog was literally taking up the lower left corner, 1/4 or more, of the bed. I asked if he could gently insist the dog get on the floor. He explained that the dog would need to move to the floor later in the night, but he didn't feel like doing it at that moment, so no, he wouldn't make him move right now if the pup didn't want to. The dog got to stay. I said this makes no sense to me because he'd have to wake up later to move the dog anyway. He doubled down. I then focused on the second dog, who was stretched out, taking up the entire right half of the bed. My husband laid between them, spooning him. That left a small 2 feet by 3 feet area in the upper left corner of the bed for me, and I wasn't allowed to accidentally let my foot touch them in a way that could put pressure on them. Obviously, I lost it at this point. Having read most of your comments, I started telling him this was insane, that he needed to grow up, to actually put me first, or go marry his dogs. I said this was pathetic and embarrassing, for me to be of less value to him than his dogs. I asked, "You can't put your Golden through slight discomfort and move him to the floor so your sick wife can sleep?" He responded with, "Move to the guest room." I said no. He said, "Fine, I'll move to the guest room." I said I really want to actually spend time with him since my kiddo is out of town. We never spend time together. I suggested we both go to the guest room and let the dogs have our bed. He said no. It had to be just one of us, because he wanted the dogs to have one adult as a comfort presence and full access to the bed. At this point, I was obviously floored. Around this time, the dog that sleeps on the floor somehow moved himself off the bed to the floor, even though I didn't think he could without help due to his hips. My husband noticed and instantly freaked out, asking if I had made the dog get off the bed. I said no. He then said I should leave, that I'm insane, and that he wants a divorce. He told me they will always be more important to him. He slept holding them so gently and snugly. So that's the story of how I'm sitting upstairs, trying to figure out how to pack my stuff and leave to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas alone. Because I'm worth less than 2 dogs. Oh, and it's storming outside.